With all of the GPU price gouging going on right now and crypto prices fluctuating faster than you can scream Bitcoin is dead. Wait, no, it's back up again. Wait, no, it is dead again. You might think that building a GPU mining rig is a spectacularly bad idea. Well, bingo, correctamundo. It's 100% a bad idea right now. But much like jumping off of a roof, just because you shouldn't doesn't mean that you can't. Which is why, even though it's a horribly silly thing to do right now, and we don't recommend it with the GPU and crypto markets being what they are, we're starting a series where we take a look at the best possible mining rigs you can build at various price points. Similar to our PC gaming build guide series, we're kicking this one off with a paltry $500-ish budget. Now, most of you who have dabbled in the mining scene before and have seen the price of GPUs will know that $500 is barely enough to even dip your littlest toe into the mining game. $500 just might be enough for a single GTX 1060 or RX 580 if you're extremely lucky. So building a decent full rig for that kind of dough is certainly no easy feat. And building a full rig that does actually manage to make something resembling a profit right now is even harder. Just about a month ago, my Ryzen 7 1700 system, equipped with a single GTX 1060 6GB and an RX 580 4GB, with all three parts mining away, was able to bring in about $13 per day. Currently, the exact same system can barely manage a profit of $4 per day. That profit, when taking into account how much those two graphics cards would cost if bought new right now, hardly seems worth it. So going with an even lower spec system would undoubtedly be even less so profitable. But let's throw responsibility to the wind, as I do basically all the time, because too many of you guys have asked for this, so let's do it. Also, quick mention that we'll be pricing everything out on Amazon. If you're picking up any of these parts up, you can use our Amazon affiliate code in the description to help us out here at the channel. First off, we'll need a CPU. The choice here isn't a difficult one. As long as it's cheap and has at least 2 cores, you should be good to go. The reason for this, as we know by now, is that GPU mining isn't really dependent on CPU power, at least not as much as what it would be if you were doing word processing in a day-to-day task. Of course, in an ideal world, we'd all have access to Threadripper 1950Xs that can mine certain coins fairly profitably, but alas, we don't live in such a world. CPU mining isn't nearly as worth it as many other methods of mining, so going higher end here would be pointless. We did a video on this that you can check out right there. With that in mind, Intel's 7th gen Celeron is a perfect candidate. It boasts fairly impressive clock speeds on both of its cores, has a relatively low TDP, and most importantly will only set you back about $44.99. Motherboard choice is also an easy one. At this price point, going as low end and as cheap as possible while still having some minor expandability options is what we're going for. MSI's Pro B250 Micro ATX board checks all of those boxes. It should only cost about $34.99, features an M.2 slot, and crucially has 3 PCI Express slots, 1 full X16 slot and 2 X4s. This is by no means a mining motherboard, as those usually feature a bevy of PCI Express connectors for attaching as many GPUs to a single board as possible, up to 19 in some cases, but at this price point, 3 isn't half bad. It leaves some room for upgrading your rig with another 1 or 2 cards in the future when prices eventually calm the heck down, and not to mention that you can use an M.2 riser to get even more cards jammed on this thing. Next up is RAM. While generally for a gaming system, 8GB has become sort of an absolute minimum needed to run most newer games fairly well, even that is overkill for a mining setup. Neither speed nor capacity has any real perceptible impact on GPU mining performance, so you can cheap out heavily here too. Well, actually, while capacity doesn't really impact mining performance in most scenarios, you're going to want to pick up at least 4GB just to ensure the system runs somewhat without a hitch during setup and maintenance, or if you want to have one tab open in Chrome to obsess over the coin prices while you're mining. Anyways, Crucial's 4GB DDR4 2133 module is perfect for this at $69.95. Even though that price is a little more than the module is actually worth with the RAM market the way it is right now, there's not a whole lot of any of us can do about it, so that's just what we have to do. There is the added caveat that you'll likely need at least 8GB of RAM if you plan to run a Vega GPU, but that doesn't really matter since this is a $500 mining rig build, and there ain't no way in the highfalutin haven that is Australia that you'll ever get a Vega card for that price anytime soon, so 4 gigs is going to work for this build guide. On the power supply front, it's best to splurge at least a little here. While it's mightily tempting tempting to just go with the cheapest possible unit you can find by a brand that no one has ever heard of, you really shouldn't cheap out too heavily here. Other than the fact that the most of the dirt cheap power supplies out there are absolute garbage with a large likelihood of exploding and taking your system down with it and possibly your entire household, they're also usually extremely inefficient. And if you're thinking of getting into mining, you're going to have to spend some quality time getting to know the word efficiency. The less power your mining rig draws from the wall, the higher the profit you stand to make. Unless of course you pay nothing for electricity, and then who cares. Anyways, Rose Will's 450 watt gaming power supply seems to be a okay middle ground here between price and efficiency. Coming with a 3-year warranty, is 80 plus bronze certified, and comes in at a respectable price of $40.99. Next up, we'll need to get some storage going. While technically you can get away with going for a slow mechanical hard drive that costs less than a small coffee, we wouldn't. It's 2018, people. Just because your mining rig will probably only really be used for, mining, doesn't mean that you should load whatever operating system you plan on using onto a hard drive. We're not Neanderthals. An SSD is the only way to go here. An ADATA's premier 64 gig SATA 3 SSD, and while not even close to the fastest solution around, is perfect for our needs at just $38. Of course, you could go Maximo cheapo and just run a Linux mining OS straight from a USB drive, but that's a whole different can of worms you might not want to get into. And given that you're just dipping your toes into mining with this guide particularly, if you're watching it, I doubt you're looking into Linux right now, but you can definitely just buy a 16-inch flash drive if you want to go on the ultimate budget build spree. Now on to simultaneously the most interesting and most depressing part of this entire build, the GPU. The GPU is the workhorse behind the whole operation, and unfortunately the workhorse in this build has to be more of a pony than a horse, and a significantly less profitable pony at that. Less than a year ago, mind you could have picked up one of AMD's RX 580 8GB cards for something around the $235 range, and those turned out to be some of the most profitable cards around. Of course, because they were so popular, miners bought them in droves along with every other card that could bring even the smallest amount of coin, kickstarting the whole situation that we're in right now. Gone are the days when the cost of buying a decent GPU actually made sense. Now the only card we can afford on this particular budget that still brings in an okay profit is Nvidia's GTX 1060 3GB. The EVGA GeForce GTX 1063 gig gaming card we chose for this build comes in at a whopping $329.89, around $130 more than the 1063 gig cost when it first launched. The total cost of this entire build then comes out to $558.80. And what do we get for all that cash? Well, we get a system that shouldn't be able to run most newer games at acceptable frame rates because of the low spec CPU and RAM, but this isn't a gaming PC, so how well does it actually mine? Well, even though the 1063 gig was able to bring in just over $3 a day a month or two ago, that number has dropped significantly. Currently, a 1063 gig at stock speeds is expected to earn about $1.20 per day, boostable to around $1.35 per day with some luck and decent overclock, but that's before adding electricity costs. With the power draw of the system as a whole taken into account, you're looking at a profit of maybe $1.15 per day. And yes, this is even with the fact that you can't mine Ethereum taken into account if you're running the latest version of Windows, because you'll be mining a version off the Equihash algorithm. I detailed that problem right up there. Anyways, let's assume that you don't pay for electricity and you put it at your work office and you have a profit of $1.20 per day. At that rate, you're looking at a return on investment of a massive 466 days to be exact. And even if that somehow doesn't sound ludicrously not worthwhile to you, that ROI is assuming the crypto market stays the same over the course of that time, which of course it 100% won't, because we're due to get an ampere drop anytime in the next few months. If you really do want to get into crypto mining on a $500 budget right now, you might actually be far better off on hopping onto eBay and picking up a used Dell Optiflex system. These usually come equipped with relatively capable hardware, capable for mining at least, and the best part of all is that they're usually dirt cheap because businesses bought them in droves and sell them in droves. And when we say dirt cheap, we mean that this will likely be less than a Bitcoin will be worth in about 2 weeks. Oh snap, did I just go there? I just went there. But seriously, you can currently find a Dell Optiflex 780D on eBay right now for just $43.60 $2.65. The system is equipped with an Intel Core 2 Duo E7500, 4 gigs of RAM, and should be able to handle a single graphics card, so you get an entire system for $44. Unfortunately, the included power supply is almost assuredly not going to be able to power the system and a new GPU, so it'll need to be replaced. But still, going this route and picking up the $40.99 Roswell PSU we mentioned earlier means you only need to spend $84.64 on the system itself, giving you a lot more wiggle room in your choice of graphics cards. How much wiggle room though? How about enough to just be able to afford one of the best earners around, the one that we mentioned earlier, the RX 580 8GB. That's right, one of the cheaper RX 580 8GB cards that can be found right now is XFX's GTS XXX Edition RX 580 8GB OC Plus. That's a long name, and it's currently going for $470. Adding the cost of the Dell Optiplex system to the power supply on top of that comes to a total of $554.63 quick math, which is less than the new system that we parted out earlier, and you get a banging RX 580. That's what I said. That means for a lot less money, you can actually get a far superior mining system. Compared to the GTX 1063 gig and its estimated earnings of $1.20 per day, you can expect the RX 580 to bring in about $2.20 per day at current profitability, making the ROI time for that entire system 252 days. That's actually pretty good in the grand scheme of things. There are obviously some drawbacks to going this route, like the possibility of ending up with a DOA Dell system, but it's by far the most profitable solution at this price point in the current market situation, although it does come with the issue that future expandability is compromised at the price of what it is now. But if you want to pay it off quicker and then you have more cash and profit quicker, then you'll be able to actually buy a mining motherboard. Future, cheaper, words fail me. Anyways, now even though you can build a pretty decent starter mining system right now for around $500, and it may just prove profitable, especially if crypto prices skyrocket again like they did before the big correction. Anyways, I can't say this enough. The only thing that's guaranteed in crypto is that nothing can be guaranteed. Even if your rig is profitable right now, that can all change at the drop of Vitalik Buterin's hat. Wow, that's a mouthful. The market is extremely volatile, and you can make enough to pay off your rig in a matter of a few weeks, or you might never actually be able to do it at all. Buying hardware exclusively for the purpose of mining is a very risky endeavor, and if you're up for it, there is almost always a certain amount of money to be earned. But it's definitely not a given. But such is the way of the exciting world of crypto. You just have to give and take. Anyways, and you need to do your research before you jump into it, and I hope that this video helped you even a little bit when trying to get into the crypto world on the cheap. Be sure to hit that like button and get subscribed if it did help you at all, and let me know how you would handle a $500 mining budget if you were building a fresh computer, either down in the comments or over on Twitter. I am at UFDisciple. Again, you can use our Amazon affiliate code to pick up whatever you need for your mining rig, and it won't cost you anything extra, but does certainly helps us out a lot. Anyways, I am Brett with the UFD Tech channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. And before I say cheers, things are changing. I'm in America. This is different. It's like 10 o'clock at night. I'm jet lagged. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know audio might not be perfect. This is I'm in an Airbnb. This is we're trying something out, okay? So thank you guys so much for sticking with me as I'm in America, as things are going crazy. I really appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. I got your feedback on the last video, and I'm going to try to improve things going forward. Anyways, that's it. I'm going to see you in the next video. Cheers.